professional solutions to money, relationships, wellness, and more. Shine a light onto your day and into your life. Power Your Life with Dr. Joanne White.
Good evening and welcome to Power Your Life. I'm your host, Joanne White. You might have found yourself at one time or another wishing that you had a crystal ball to see what your future holds. My first guest has been blessed with that ability as a child. Renowned psychic Karen Page has more than 4 decades of experience doing readings for celebrities, heads of state, and police departments. Karen joins me now via Skype to lead us on a behind-the-scenes look into the world of a lifelong psychic. Karen, it's such a pleasure to have you on.
Wonderful to be here. How are you?
I am doing fantastically, and you?
I don't have a single complaint in life.
Great. Well, let's get right to it because you've had psychic abilities all your life. When was the first time that you realized that you were psychic?
That's very fun. That's a funny story. When I was about 3 or 4, we lived across the street from some people, and I was standing in the living room looking out the window at their house. And I said to my mother, "Mommy, did you know Mr. Willinsale beats his wife?" And my mother came over and said, "Sweetheart, don't say that. That's very serious." I said, "Mommy, but it's true." So it's always been there. And 2 or 3 weeks later, an ambulance came and picked up his wife. He was taken out in handcuffs, and the children were taken in another car.
So your family started to realize that you had those abilities too. Now, you've also told me that that was in your family, your mother.
Yes, my mother was highly, highly intuitive, but she was a businesswoman. But my aunt was a reader for over 50 years and opened the first metaphysical center in Los Angeles.
Fascinating.
And my sister was a reader, and my mother's 2 closest friends were both readers.
Now you've
I
worked.
thought I was the normal one.
You've worked with the LAPD and you've worked with the Houston Police Department. What helping them solve crimes and also helping them find missing persons? What was that like to work with the police department, and how did they receive you?
That's hilarious. Well, I always love the comedies of psychics on television when they have them represented as being lifted on pillows and flown in on private jets and all that. That's hilarious. They actually, my favorite was when I worked on a murder case in Houston. They treated me like I was a sideshow in the circus. And for many years, it wasn't accepted. I have never charged to work on a murder case. I have never charged to work on a missing child case anywhere in the world. And I have clients all over the world, and I've worked with police departments all over the world.
That's amazing. Now, Peter Hurkos influenced your career, and he was legendary in psychic phenomena. How was that influential? How was he influential for you?
Well, I was the reluctant psychic because he was so dear, because I thought, I jokingly say I thought I was the normal one in my family, but I wanted to be a lawyer, and I realized this was God saving me from myself, and giving me this extraordinary gift.
And people are so lucky that you do have that gift.
I am very blessed every day. If God wanted, I'll do this as long as God wants me to. And the day God wants me to be a house painter, I'll be at Home Depot buying brushes in the morning.
You have some readings for us on some celebrities and some very important people like Hillary Clinton. Would you share with our audience just what's happening with her?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, she would make an amazing, amazing president.
Yes.
This is a brilliant woman that really understands this country, and she understands the politics, international politics. And as much as we think the world is a great big place, it really is a very tiny, tiny place. And she has bridged the gap between a lot of those differences. But unfortunately, in doing that, it has cost her tremendously. I wish I could say that I saw her becoming president, but she feels like there is an ongoing health issue that we are not privy to, and that her health, you have to be really hardy to run for president. And after the charming 8 years that they were put through before, and the ensuing years where they have certainly tried to make chopped liver out of her, I think her health has suffered tremendously. And I don't think she has the stamina to run for president, because it feels like there is an ongoing health issue that frankly is none of our business.
Right. Now, we only have a couple of seconds here, but what about Justin Bieber? What do you want to tell us about him? Oh my
God, stick a fork in him. I think if somebody would just say no to him, that's the problem. He has never had any boundaries, and nobody says no to him. And he thinks he forgets he's this little kid from Canada and thinks he's a hip hop artist, And I think that pretty much he has destroyed whatever nice kid image he had. And I do not see that stopping in the near future.
Can you give us a quick read on Chris Christie?
He will never be president. I doubt if he will run, because he has too many skeletons in his closet. And it feels like this whole bridge debacle, it feels like that is just the beginning of the unraveling of Chris Christie.
Thank you, Karen.
He feels like he's run it like his own fiefdom.
Thank you, Karen. It's hard to hear for a lot of people to listen, but we'll see what happens.
And I'm sorry to say that. I don't mean to offend anybody, but I always said me and Vin Scully just call him as I see him.
Okay, well, we'll come right back with you, because we have such exciting information in store. So everybody, don't go anywhere, because just ahead, Karen is going to do a reading right here on Power Your Life, and I know you won't want to miss this one. I won't. Welcome back to Power Your Life. We're joined once again by renowned psychic to the stars, Karen Page. Earlier, Karen shared stories about her past readings, which included high-profile leaders and celebrities. And now, Karen will demonstrate her skills right here on our show. With me today is Rosalie Hudson. How are you?
Hi, Joanne. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Are you ready?
I am ready, yes.
Okay, great. Karen, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, go to it.
Or as my mother always said, I was born ready. Rosalie, hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Excellent. Not a single complaint, sweetheart. Every day's a good day.
That's great.
You are coming out of probably the most complicated and difficult 8-year period of your entire life. You haven't missed a trick. It was like God looked down and went, oh dear, Rosalie, hold on tight. Okay. You have had everything. I mean, and a lot of it wasn't yours. It was other people's that you became responsible for. Mm-hmm. I keep seeing all these external health issues of other people. You became like the caretaker of the universe.
That is correct.
I'm sure you know that.
Yes, I do. I've lived it.
Oh my God, it has been one thing after another after another.
Yes.
And you have had 8 years of loss and heartache and grief, and you're still standing. God bless you, sweetheart.
Yes, I am
and the
still standing.
nice part is you're coming into the fun portion of the program.
Oh, good.
This is much easier, because that 8-year period, the last 2, I don't know how you even caught your breath. You had more losses than you and I both have hair on our head. That's a lot.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like any area of your life was left untouched.
That's correct.
And
Yes.
this and you had to kind of fit yourself in there in some small way because you had also personal heartache and personal health issues that you had to deal with. But it was you almost made it an aside. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Because everybody else was more important than you. And now it's literally as though you're coming out of this tunnel of 8 years. And the last 2 years have just been, I mean, like rock'em sock'em robots in your life, you know?
Yes, I do.
And I don't see you even remotely the same person that you were, forget about 8 years ago, but 2 years ago.
Right.
You are stronger, you are more resilient. You understand how to integrate the losses into the lessons of those losses into your everyday life and to have grown from them rather than continuing to grieve and mourn.
That's correct. Yes.
Oh, it's enormous. It's funny because you have such a peaceful heart now. Mm. And you're coming into the most fulfilling time of your life.
Thank God.
Oh, you're not kidding. Yes.
And I do thank God.
We all
You're absolutely
should.
right.
Well, you never lost your gratitude no matter what was going on in your life. And you had I'm not talking about just health and people, because it feels like you lost one person after another after another. It feels like your family went from this to this.
It has.
Do you know
yes.
what I mean? In a matter of just this period of time I'm looking at.
Rosalie, do you have a question for Karen? Because we only have a minute or so, and I want to make sure your question's answered.
Yes, Karen. I am a semi-retired RN, and I've come to like a gap and a difficult way to find my way in my path from here. Being an RN now, I feel like I have something more that I should pursue.
So what should you do?
I'm very surprised that you have not figured out, and I want you to think about this, how to connect teaching I'm not talking about the practical, I'm talking about the emotional and spiritual elements of your career with caregiving.
Okay.
Because I think that that's really what this whole journey for you has been about. Okay. Because that's the missing piece in the curriculum of nursing. And it's something that you have lived through and have a vast resource to draw from and share. So I encourage you to write about it. I encourage you to try and put groups together to go and share this hard-earned wisdom with people, because I have a feeling they will beat your door down. And I beg of you to write.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, a book, and it feels like a blog column.
All right.
About caregiving.
It feels like it's part of a wellness community.
Right. Caregiving and wellness, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. How do you feel about the reading?
I feel great.
Good. I think you got some valuable advice.
Thank you, yes.
Karen, your book, My Life Across the Table. There it is. I wanted to see that beautiful book. Yes. All right, folks, that's an incredible book. It's a life of Karen, what that life is like to be a psychic. My Life Across the Table. Thanks so much.
True stories.
Yes, it's your autobiography. Thanks so much, Karen.
I love you guys.
Love you too. There's more to come on Power Your Life. Ahead, preventing peripheral artery disease and find out how to spot the signs of heart attack or stroke. We'll be right back. Consider this scenario. You're out for a walk one evening and you start to feel pain or burning in your legs, or your feet become numb when you're at rest. How do you know if these symptoms are just minor aches or if it's something more serious? Could they be signaling a heart attack or a stroke? To help us recognize the signs of peripheral artery disease, I'm joined by Dr. Gregory Domer of Crozer-Keystone Health System. Dr. Domer, thanks so much for taking time out today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Since heart disease is the #1 killer of women in North America and is far surpassing breast cancer, what are some of the things that women can do to actually help prevent heart disease and stroke?
Well, heart disease and stroke is part of a larger systemic problem called peripheral arterial disease that includes the heart and the brain, of course. And the arteries are the conduits from which blood is taken from the heart and given throughout the organ system and tissues throughout the body. So things that people can do are heart-healthy diet, so low cholesterol foods, plenty of exercise, fruit and vegetables every day. The #1 thing people can do is to stop smoking. So
Right.
everybody knows that smoking causes cancer, and about 150,000 people die in this country every year directly related to smoking from lung cancer. What many people don't realize, though, is that peripheral arterial disease and coronary artery disease are also directly related to smoking. And as many as 8 million people die every year from cardiovascular disease
Wow.
and peripheral arterial disease.
That's incredible. That rate is really high. Now, the scenario that I was just talking about earlier, we don't want to really get people very worried. So how do they know that something else is going on, or that it is just a pain or something that not really to get very upset and suddenly run to a doctor? Can they differentiate what's going on with that?
Yeah, they can. So first we would look at, if you have risk factors. So if you're a smoker or a diabetic, or there's a family history of coronary artery disease or stroke or peripheral arterial disease, then those people are more likely that this is peripheral arterial disease that's causing the pain when they walk. And we call that claudication. And it's typically cramping in the muscles. So people will typically present to the office saying, "Doc, I can walk a block, 2 blocks, and I start to have cramping in my calf," or sometimes it's the thigh or the buttock muscle, and then it goes away with rest. So that's the key. If the pain goes away with rest, then that could very well be related to peripheral arterial disease. Numbness that occurs is often just a neuropathy, and that means that it's not necessarily related to peripheral arterial disease, but just some sort of conduction abnormality.
So is that about circulation? Or?
Usually not. It's much less likely to be related to the circulatory system than not. However, if you have numbness in your feet or your toes, that gets better once you get up and start walking around. So just the force of gravity from going supine to standing up will help the blood to flow into your feet and toes, and will get rid of the numbness.
Now, you were talking about healthy eating, and so people may be thinking, well, I have to just eat fruits and vegetables. And what are some heart-healthy indulgences that they can do that actually takes care of them at the same time, Dr.?
Well, we recommend lots of fruits and vegetables.
Which are great. I love
Right,
it, right?
Right. And just watching foods that are rich in fat, cholesterol, those sorts of things. So,
isn't there good cholesterol, though? I mean, sometimes there's a differentiation between what's bad and what's good. What's the difference?
So you want to stay away from saturated fats. You want to try and eat foods that are low in fat. So proteins are good, white meat and things like that. So everybody has to include a little bit of fat in their diet, but just really common sense food choices.
So when people come to you with those symptoms that are related to the peripheral artery disease, what's the treatment?
Very rarely do we actually have to perform an intervention. So whether that be surgery or a balloon angioplasty or stenting, which is a minor procedure where tiny catheters are put into the artery and opened, only about 2 to 3% of people ever require intervention. So the #1 thing people can do is to stop smoking, start exercising, and we know with exercise that even if the arteries are blocked, even completely blocked, you can develop collaterals or secondary pathways around the blockages, and many people will get better with no intervention, just again with lifestyle changes.
That's great to know, the lifestyle changes. Now, what if somebody has varicose veins? Is that an immediately a sign for alarm?
So that's something different. So our circulatory system is divided into arteries and veins. And again, the arteries are the conduits that carry the oxygenated blood to our bodies. The veins are what bring it back for recirculation. So the venous system is not related into coronary artery disease or stroke or anything like that.
So they don't have to worry.
They don't have to worry.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Domer. My
Okay.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Folks, what Dr. Domer was talking about is really important, because what you really need to do is think about your lifestyle and make some minor changes. Don't go crazy immediately. Make changes that work for you, as Dr. Domer suggested, low in fat. Actually, the exercise, I love the fact about exercise, because you don't have to go crazy at the gym, but you can walk. Isn't walking a really good treatment?
Walking is an excellent treatment, and we recommend people walking just 30 minutes a day, 5 to 6 times a week. And that's enough to help eliminate the need for any kind of intervention.
Well, I love the fact that you don't have to have intervention if you're really taking care of your body and you're taking care of yourself. And it doesn't matter what age you are, you can figure out how to walk 30 minutes a day, as Dr. Domer said. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you.
Power Your Life will be right back. That's it for tonight's Power Your Life. On next week's show, Montrepreneur Iris Seamus shows us how she combines food allergy awareness and fun for kids. Plus, relationship expert, matchmaker, and television personality Siggy Flicker. Hope to see you then. Remember that you have the power to power your dreams and power your life.